module, we're going to be talking about parents. Parents have several roles. Just as a teacher, you have different roles within the classroom. Parents have different roles. Parents are, first and foremost, the nurturers of their children. Children are attached to them. It is their job to make the child feel loved. You as a teacher will do that as well, but a parent is the primary nurturer. And if they're not, then there's a problem. Parents are adults as well. They need to be treated as adults. They need to have a self outside of being a nurturer, outside of being a parent. So when you speak with parents, it's important that you treat them as adults and don't treat them as you would treat their child. Parents are individuals. They need to find meaning in their life just like you do. You find meaning in your work, so do they. Their mothers, their fathers, some of them find their self-worth in their work, some of them find it in their hobbies. Some mothers suffer from low self-esteem because they are homemakers and they have a misconception that being a homemaker is somehow less than worthy. And you as a teacher can really assist in that in talking to them about their work when you get a chance, and talking to them about how that brings them meaning, and point out the fact that that is a very noble profession, whatever work that they're doing. Hard work is noble. Hard work is good. Even if they work, at a job that some people deem is less than meaningful, it's hard work, and that's a person choosing to work and choosing to contribute to society is always a good thing. They need to be reminded of that. Parents are workers. We need to be careful as teachers to remember that parents have jobs, and parents can't always drop everything. They care most about their children. They want to be there for their children, but we have to have realistic expectations that their children are in our care while their parents are working. And yes, their parents are primarily responsible for them, but we have to be very realistic about the fact that they do have jobs, and we have to be working with them in how to care for their children. Parents are consumers. And this is a little different idea, but think about yourself as a person that represents a business. You as a teacher do represent a business. Whether you work in child care or you work for the state and you work in a public school, you work for a business and you represent that business and you sell a product. That product is education. Those parents are coming to you as a consumer, especially if you work in child care where the parents pay for that service, or you work in preschool where the parents pay for that service. You have to remember that they are a consumer. They are purchasing your services, and they want the very best for their children. Remember that when you are being professional yourself, that you want to do the best job for their child as well. Parents are community members. Just as you're a community member, so are they. You need to help parents be active community members. Let them know what's going on in the community that they can become involved with, or activities for their families that can enrich their families. Let them know how that they can be a part of your community within your daycare center or classroom. Let them have a voice. Let them be part of your community. And last, parents are educators. They are the child's first teacher. They are the ones that teach the child a lot of social nuances and physical skills. They teach them how to walk. They teach them their first words. They teach them how to feed themselves. They teach them how to play. There are lots of things that parents do as an educator. And you as an educator and the child's educator need to partner with the parents to be, both of you, to be educators for the parents. Children have several needs, and we need to always keep those needs in our foremost in our mind, because parents and teachers need to be satisfying these needs. First of all, children need to be nurtured. Children need to know that they are loved and cared for, whether it's at home or at school. When that child is in your care at school, you are the nurturer. You are the substitute for that parent, and it's important for you to nurture the child and help them to grow and help them to develop and make them feel loved. Children need to feel safe. Don't we all? We all need to feel safe. Children need to know that when they come into your classroom, they're physically safe, but they're also socially and emotionally safe. They need to be in an environment that is free from people picking on them or hurting them. They need to be in an environment that is set up in such a way that that takes away from children being hurt, so that you make sure things won't fall on them or they won't trip on things. But most of all, setting an atmosphere within the classroom where the child is safe to explore, safe to develop themselves, safe to learn, and safe from people being critical of them. Children need experiences that are tailored to their individual differences. And parents are really good at that because they may only have 1, 2, or 3 children to deal with, so they know their children. While they're in your care, you might have 20 children that you're working with, and you need to know what's appropriate for them and their individual differences and try to tailor your activities to include things that are special to them. Then children need to have developmentally appropriate activities and experiences. Sometimes parents need a little help with this. Parents are real focused on, I want my child to read early, I want to teach them their ABCs and 1, 2, 3s, and they forget about, or they don't know about, what is developmentally appropriate. Play is developmentally appropriate for very young children. Children learn through play. We know from research that children learn through play. We've looked at MRIs of the children's brains. The children who learn through play, their brains are lit up. The children who learn through direct instruction, this is an A, this is a B, this is a C, their brains are not lit up. We know that those children that learn through play have better, what we call executive functioning skills. Those are skills that translate into people skills, being able to communicate, being able to problem solve, being creative. Those are all things that translate into skills that help them in school, and eventually skills that employers are looking for in the people that they hire. Executive functioning skills are so important, and developmentally appropriate activities are the single most important thing that you can do within the classroom to provide an education for the children. Children need limit setting. They need to know where their boundaries are. Permissive parents often have problems with children being unruly, and the same is true of the opposite, the parent that is authoritative, the parent that is makes hard demands from their child. Their child will rebel when they're away from their parents, or they'll be scared. So children need good limits that and very clear. That's your job. When the child comes through the classroom, your job should be almost done, because your job is to arrange your classroom so that it flows nicely. Arrange your classroom and arrange the activities and plan ahead so that that pitfalls don't happen. And so they need to know what their limits are. Children need stable, supportive environments from their community, and they also need cultural continuity. Children need to know that things aren't going to change too much. When things change a lot, it's very disruptive to a child. It's disruptive to us. Can you imagine how it is to a child who doesn't know how to fend for themselves? So children need supportive community, and they need cultural continuity. And last of all, the children need for us to protect their future. Children are not capable of making decisions that are long range. We have to look at their long range life, and we have to make decisions for them that protect them. We don't allow them to take part in different things because it might put images in their mind that are destructive to them or scare them. We have to protect their environment, whether it's physical or emotional or social or mental, cognitive. We need to protect them. When we provide all these things, we need to be aware of, from the parent's perspective. A lot of us are parents already, but it's always important to look at a parent from their point of view. Their point of view may be a little bit different than yours. We need to realize that being a parent is an emotional experience. I mean, it's irrevocable. There's no turning back. Once you have a child, it's at least 18 years that you've signed on for, and you can't change it. So for some people, that's a little scary. And we need to be thinking about how the parent has restriction. When you become a parent, there are things that you just can't do anymore. Some parents don't understand that, and they still try to do the things that they did. When you have a child, your child is your life. Yes, you need to have meaning outside of being a parent, but your primary responsibility is being a parent, and oftentimes that restricts who you can go out with, where you can go, what you can do, the funds that you have. So sometimes parents feel very isolated because they are home with this child, and oftentimes, especially new parents, are very fatigued. Being a parent is tiring, and even it doesn't get better when the baby starts sleeping through the night. You have children that need homework help, or you have to take them different places. Being a parent is tiring, it's restricting, and it's isolating. Parents often deal with myths and images. They think that someone else is a better parent than them because it looks like they're doing everything right. Let's face it, kids will be kids, and being a parent is tough work. So the myths that are out there, children should be seen and not heard, so-and-so's children always behave, isn't always true, is it? And we need to, as teachers, remind parents that that's a myth, that children will be children, and everybody has issues with their children. These images that we see of children being perfect are exactly that. They're images, they're not reality. And sometimes parents need to be reminded of that. Some parents are very hard on themselves. Some parents carry a lot of guilt. You know, I can't do everything. I can't give my child what I think they should have. I can't spend the time with them because I have to go to work or I have to work a second job. Quality is always more important than quantity when we talk about time with children. So you might need to remind parents about that, about how, and give them the tools that they need to empower them and instruct them how to spend quality time with their children. Parents deal with uncertainty. Oftentimes jobs are in the lurch. We don't know where the next paycheck is going to come from. We don't know if we're going to have to move. We don't know if that's going to affect where the child is in daycare. And so oftentimes parents have uncertainty that they're dealing with, and they're fearful of how they're going to take care of their family. And so those are things that as a parent they are scared of, and as a teacher we need to be aware of.